Hello, my pseudonym is Nowachi, and I'm a human behind this channel. The script for this video, as well as its editing, is entirely my own work. The original concept for the images I use is also mine, and I rely on artificial intelligence to bring them to life. I also use an AI-generated voice to protect my privacy. I hope you enjoy this video. In the October 2025 study edition of the Watchtower, there's an article titled 1925, 100 Years Ago. In it, they present I don't know if you could really call it a reflection on the failed expectations that the Bible students, the historical predecessors of Jehovah's Witnesses, had regarding that year. In short, they expected the earth to become a paradise in that year. Stick around until the end, because in this video you'll learn about two key and very important facts that the article doesn't mention. Before we begin, don't forget to click the like button so the algorithm recommends this video to more people. And if you're interested in learning about Jehovah's Witnesses in an objective way, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single video. First, let's take a look at what the article does say, so we can understand two important aspects they're trying to ignore. I quote directly, "In 1925, many Bible students expected the restoration of the earthly paradise." Why? Brother Albert Schroeder, who later served on the governing body, explained, "It was thought that then the remnant of Christ's anointed followers would go to heaven to be part of the kingdom, and that the faithful men of old, such as Abraham, David, and others, would be resurrected as princes to take over the government of the earth as part of God's kingdom." As the year progressed, and their hopes did not materialize, some understandably became disappointed. In spite of this disappointment, most Bible students remained busy in the preaching work and became increasingly aware of their responsibility to be witnesses of Jehovah. And that's it. That's the whole reflection, if we can even call it that. The rest of the article talks about how they used the radio to spread their message, some doctrinal changes that happened that year, and how the assemblies emphasized the need to preach and make return visits. But when it comes to true self-examination, like digging deep into the root causes of their failed expectations, there's nothing. It's completely missing. And yes, I know I'm being naive for thinking the governing body would ever do a real self-analysis on this topic. But, hope dies last. Even though, in this case, I know I shouldn't hold my breath. For example, a true self-examination of the issue would involve looking at the human impact of those failed expectations. And I'm not referring to the fact that they lost many followers in the years that followed. I'm talking about things like how many people gave up their businesses, quit their jobs, or even sold their homes, hoping they would soon be taken to heaven. And that many human beings would live in an earthly paradise after Armageddon. Numerous Bible student farmers refused to plant their spring crops. Some even mocked their fellow believers who did go ahead and plant. And all of this is easy to say, but can you truly grasp the emotional weight of someone who sold the business they spent their entire life building, spent all the money, and now has to start over from scratch? Or the anguish of those who lost their homes and now, since nothing happened, have to live with the consequences of that decision? And that's not even mentioning those who gave up jobs, crops, education, and so on. These are the human tragedies that the governing body refuses to see or acknowledge. In fact, they've even had the audacity to blame the very people who made those decisions, without doing any self-reflection themselves. And then they talk about having deep concern for the flock and about being empathetic. They're hypocrites. The second reflection the governing body doesn't make is, what's the real lesson to be learned from all of this? You see, Joseph Franklin Rutherford came to the conclusion that the end would arrive in 1925 by establishing a series of prophetic parallels. Take a look at what good old Joe Rutherford wrote in his book, Millions Now, Living Will Never Die. A simple calculation of these jubilees brings us to an important fact. 70 jubilees, each one consisting of 50 years, gives us a total of 3,500 years. That period of time, beginning in 1575 before our era, would necessarily end in the autumn of the year 1925, when the type ends and the great antitype must begin. That whole analysis of prophetic types and antitypes is the root of Uncle Joe Rutherford's error. The problem is they still keep making that kind of absurd inference. As an example, check out the video I linked above on how they justify their beliefs about 1914. Every Jehovah's Witness publication that tries to deal with prophecy is still built on this same system of prophetic types and antitypes. And yes, I know someone's going to say, but the Bible talks about Melchizedek as a prophetic figure of Christ, or Jesus drew a parallel between the flood and the end of the system, and there are other examples. But the point is, all those parallels are laid out clearly in the Bible itself. What's been done since the days of William Miller and Charles Taze Russell is to go digging for hidden meanings in the Bible, establishing parallels at the whim of whatever self-proclaimed enlightened one happens to be in charge. Or, to use biblical language, they go beyond what is written. When anyone engages in self-examination, they need to be honest with themselves in order to correct the behaviors that aren't working. The governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, by never engaging in sincere self-analysis, is doomed to keep repeating the mistakes of the past. And those who follow them are left to face the consequences when they make personal decisions based on the judgment of these men. If you know a Jehovah's Witness or someone interested in studying with them, share this video with them. And if you'd like to keep learning about Jehovah's Witnesses from an objective perspective, here's some more videos for you. See you soon.